My feelings when we were researching for the Kashmir files is the same that I'm feeling now as I read the topic of today's conversation, ignored genocides of the world. As if genocide is not enough. When you speak about genocide, you were talking about the most inhuman, barbaric act by one community on the other. It's us humans killing our brothers and sisters. And you've seen the definition of genocide in the documentary which we just saw. Unfortunately, the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus checks all the boxes. For 30 years, nobody knew about it. So A, for all of you to have lost your homes, to have lost not just the four walls of your home, but you've lost all your memories along with it. As one of the people that we spoke to, one of the ladies, Sushma Bhan, she said that everything that her mother had given to her, jewelry is not important monetarily, but it must have been an heirloom jewelry, right? Coming down in generations. On the night of January 19th, when you're fleeing for your life, saving yourself, saving your children, saving the women of the family, saving the older people, the last thing that you think about is carrying your jewelry or your photo albums with you. I've heard stories about young boys and girls who have no memory of their fathers. There is not even a photograph which they can see to remind themselves how their father looked like. And this is a very, very distressing thought. I can't even imagine how, I have one photograph of my grandfather, my father's father. And I always kept telling my father, कि आप लोगों के वक्त पे photography का इतना वो था नहीं when you were younger, because he was brought up in a village in Madhya Pradesh. कि दादाजी की एक ही तस्वीर है, एक ही मूड में देखते हैं हम उनको. This could be a point of discussion for us. हम खेल में बोलते हैं, but for somebody to not have a single photograph of their father or their mother or the brothers or their uncles who they lost in Kashmir, it is a terrible, thing to live with. As I was talking to everyone, there was a certain, I had reached a certain point where everything started seeming unreal to me. Because a human brain is only capable of processing so much pain. So a point came when I said, yes, nahi, ye galat hai. This can't have happened. This is all a lie. I think that was my defense, that was my shield which I was using. Because I couldn't take that pain anymore. And the only reason why I sat through it, there were times when I wanted to get out and run away. But the only reason I sat through it was every time I felt that, I also realized that I'm only listening to these stories. These people have gone through it. And not just gone through it. They've lived with it for 30 years without anybody asking them, what have you gone through? As we say in Hindi, किसी ने आपके पीठ पे हाथ नहीं फहराया और ये नहीं कहा कि मुझे बताओ तुम्हारे साथ हुआ क्या है. And that's why everyone internalized the pain. They stopped talking about it. And somewhere they felt that this is how it is. We don't matter. We were just 2%. It really doesn't matter to the world whether we live or die. You got thrown out of your homes. Wherever you went in India, you were all looked at as refugees or migrants, which is a terrible thing, to happen within your own country. Also, when we were doing our research, the world has this image of refugees. Now, unfortunately, in your case, Kashmiri Pandits are very good-looking people, and you're very well-placed. So you don't really come into the category of refugees. Arey, inko kya problem hai? They're doing so well, they're earning so much money. It doesn't matter what your economic standing is in life if your father has been killed. And as I speak about it, Ajayji is sitting right next to me. He's gone through the pain himself. How does it matter how much money you have if your father is not with you? If somebody in your family is, brutally murdered, they don't see your economic background for that. During the Second World War, after the Holocaust happened, there have been a series of movies which were made in US, right from Sound of Music till Boy in Striped Pajamas, or Schindler's List, only with the view of educating the people of this terrible thing that had happened, and to stand together as human beings and say never again. All the Holocaust museums that you see, they are actually to educate people to say never again. And yet, after that, we've seen the Yazidis, we've seen their plight, we've seen the Armenian Christians, we've heard of the Rwandan genocide. And there are so many more within my own country also, which have gone unnoticed, unheard. So how long are we going to keep getting educated? When are we going to say stop, no more? How many more people do have to die at the hands of terrorism before we realize that the true beauty lies in diversity, that all of us should live together? And as India always preaches, that unity truly lies in diversity. And how beautiful it is when people of different faiths, different race, different color, they all come together. I'm feeling so honored, so blessed that you are here with us today discussing this. Amjad Bhai joined us from Mirpur. I have a friend from Mirpur. His last name is Mirpuri. And I had never heard anything from him, what I just heard from Amjad Bhai. So people who have been victims and whose voice has not been heard for years and years together, they just bury that pain inside and they just move on in life. But I think a time has come when all of us need to stand together for humanity. Humanism should triumph over everything else. And hence we undertook this tour. I realized that there has been, both Vivek and I, we've changed as people after this film. I realize I've grown extremely emotional. I've become very touchy to other people's pain. I can't see anyone crying. I break down very easily these days. And I've started feeling, how do I say this? I can't really put this in words, but I think I understand emotions so much better now. And it's a confession I need to make here, because actors are supposed to be extremely emotional people, and we have to have a deep understanding of emotions. And I thought I was, wonderful at my profession, but it was only after Kashmir Files that I realized what true emotions are. All I want to say here is that it has been a long, long battle for justice for this community. I think Kashmir Files is a very small step, but it is a step. It has led to the arrest of a person who was responsible for killing our Air Force officers who was responsible for killing Justice A.K. Ganju, Justice B.K. Ganju, I'm sorry, and many more people in Kashmir. This is a beginning. And if all of us come together, and if all of us take this message forward, and not just the Kashmiri Pandit community, not just the Hindus, not just the persecuted community, but everybody who believes in humanism, everybody who upholds humanity, if all of us come together and we talk about this, it's very, very easy to turn people into believing in positive things, but we need to, constantly work at it. We just give up. I know it's a very, very difficult task, but Vivek and I, we've been practicing it for the past 4 years, and we've come this far. I don't know how far we'll be able to go beyond this. We are trying. We're trying with our next film also. We have been at it since 2010, actually, but it has only got amplified after Kashmir Files. But please stand with us, support us, become our voice, spread the message of humanism, and it may be a utopian concept, but we must always work towards utopian concepts to make the world a better place to live in. Let's all work towards the cause of humanism. Thank you very much.